All right. Let me just make sure we're live here. And then we will begin. Okay, here. Let's see. All right. I don't think we're live on the Rockfin. I think we're live everywhere else except for the Rockfin because let me see here. Sorry folks, I actually messed up today. I apologize for that. I made a mistake today. Not a good way to start off the stream, I would argue, but that's what happened. That's what happened. Oh, we are here. Oh, okay. It worked out actually. Ah, sweet. All right. All right, cool. Okay, Rem, thank you for that. All right, we are okay. Good, good, good. All right. Ha! That worked out. Yes, victory. Sorry about that, y'all, but I forgot a step and didn't realize it until I literally hit the live button. So, ha ha ha. But we overcame. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Happy Sunday for everyone catching this live. This is Get Your News On with Ron. And it's actually Super Bowl Sunday. It is Super Bowl Sunday. And I don't have much to say about that. I'll be honest with you. This is the first time in my life that I can remember where I didn't know who was playing. It was actually my wife who told me who was playing because I didn't know. Now, just to be clear, I'm not one of these people who yucks everyone's yum. Like I'm not one of these people, oh, the sports ball, I don't like it. Like no, I'm not like, okay, we get it. You don't enjoy something a lot of other people enjoy. So make sure you let everyone know. I'm not that person. I actually like sports a lot. Um, but here's the deal. I'm one of these people that I only have the bandwidth for 1.5 when it comes to sports. Like 1.5 is all I got. And for many years, my one was football. I followed the NFL religiously, and my half was hockey. I've always loved hockey. And then about 10 years ago or so, my one became hockey and my half became football. Like they kind of flipped. And I think the reason for that is overall, I enjoy the game of hockey more than the game of football. And when I lived in Nashville in particular, hockey games were really accessible to me because at the time the Nashville Predators weren't that good. So you could get hockey tickets for like 20 bucks. So I got to see the Penguins play when they played in Nashville. I got to just go to random games. And hockey's one of those sports where live it is really, really, really special. Football, it's like you can watch it on TV and it's about the same as going to see it live. But hockey, there's just I love watching it on TV as well, but live it just takes it to a whole other level. So because I was going to see more hockey, I was getting into it a little more. So they flipped. And then what happened for me, I forget the exact moment, but when they had that moment where there was a play on the field and the announcer said, "We don't know what a catch is." It went viral when that happened. They literally said, "We don't know what a catch is." That's what I tuned out. That's what I tuned out of the NFL. I was like, I think we're done here. And then, of course, there's all the repulsive things about the league, the way they didn't have Colin Kaepernick's back. But let's be honest, folks. All of the sports leagues are gross. Like they all do. I mean, FIFA does gross stuff. Like they're all gross. But for me, what really just took me out of being able to enjoy the game was just, oh, we don't even know what a catch is. It's like, okay, we're getting to the point where eventually they're going to start drafting lawyers and negotiating plays. The last time I watched an NFL game, which was last year's Super Bowl, it felt like every play took 45 minutes. Like every play, they just like deliberated every single thing. Was this actually a yard or was it? And I get it. You want to call an accurate game. I get that, but it has just been taken to such an extreme that it is absurd. Oh, and by the way, now they've even hinted that maybe this stuff is scripted, which would not surprise me at all. I mean, I have no idea if that's the case or not, but I would not be at all surprised if we found out like the NFL is scripted now, kind of like professional wrestling. That's the direction it's going in. The NFL is closer to professional wrestling than it is to an actual game. So anyway, yeah, I have no idea. I don't have plans. Like I have other plans with my wife today. So I don't even know if I'm gonna watch the game, but if you are, enjoy it. It should be fun. And whoever you're rooting for, I hope they win. You know, I know some people who are in Philly, so they're rooting for the Eagles. I know some people who are in Kansas City, so they're rooting for the Chiefs. I hope your team wins, whatever it is. And as far as my sports are concerned, I'm hoping my Penguins make the playoffs. Oh, and that's the other thing. So my one now is hockey. Yeah, I said that my one was hockey and my half was football for a while. Now my one is hockey still, and my half is football, but the other football, soccer is what I mean. Forza Napoli's really good right now. And, I'm starting to get into LA City a little bit, not Galaxy, the city team, the working class team. Plus like the MLS is starting to kind of pick up steam here in the States a little bit. There's an Antifa component to Portland's team. I'm kind of getting into that a little bit more. So that's my half. Soccer's my half. And one is still hockey. So anyway, there you go. All right. That had nothing to do with the agenda on today's show, but it is Super Bowl Sunday as of the streaming of this. So thought I'd mention to it. We got a cool show for you today. We're going to be talking about Adam Schiff's Senate run and what's going on in the Senate here in California in general, because I think it's a little more mischievous than people realize. That's my perspective. We're going to be talking about Gigi Sohn. She finally got a hearing. You guys know Gigi Sohn is Biden's appointee for FCC commissioner. She's one of the 5 commissioners over at the FCC. And she has been delayed for 2 years. For 2 years, they have not confirmed her appointment to the FCC, leaving the FCC in a 2-2 gridlock between 2 pro-net neutrality seats, 2 anti-net neutrality seats. She will be the tiebreaker. She is pro-net neutrality. We've been screaming for her confirmation for nearly 2 years. They've been dragging their feet on it, but she finally has a hearing on Valentine's Day. We're going to be talking about that. And we're going to start over in New Palestine, Ohio, which is about an hour west of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my hometown. And as a lot of you probably already know, a train derailed there. This is from Jordan over at Status Quo. So a train derailed over in East Palestine, and a bunch of toxic chemicals were released into the air, a bunch of toxic fumes. People could smell chlorine. And here's what else is going on. Toxic fumes from East Palestine train explosion can be smelt 30 miles away. Hundreds of fish found dead miles away. Sick horses evacuated miles away. EPM PM 2.5 particulate pollution monitor 22 miles away in Youngstown, Ohio, spiked from 12.6 to 34.5. So that's a huge spike in pollution in the air. Let's see here. So here's some of the photos here. Look at this. Look at that. That's the explosion. And this looks like a dystopian painting, does it not? Like, doesn't this look like a painting where they're like showing you the evils of us drilling for fossil fuels and stuff like that? Like, oh, look at this nice neighborhood and how they're destroying it. But this is real. This is the explosion from the train derailment. Now, here's a fun little update. So fish are dying. They're having high contaminants of pollution in the air. Now, at first, they ordered everyone to evacuate. And then they said, oh, no, it's okay. You don't have to evacuate. But again, animals are getting sick. People are reporting feeling sick. Fish are dying. Foxes are getting sick. It's not safe to be there right now. Like, it's just not safe. And they're trying to downplay it like, oh, it's fine. Because they're trying to do damage control. And they don't really care about these people. In fact, here's a fun update. Here's how little they care about everyone. So, by the way, the company that caused this was the Norfolk Southern. And another thing to keep in mind here, folks, before we go to the next component here, another thing to keep in mind here is that this is one of the things that the railroad strike was trying to prevent too. The railroad strike was calling for better staffed trains, which would have helped prevent stuff like this. But of course, the railroad strike was destroyed. It was prevented by the government. They came in and they crushed the strike. The Joe Biden administration, with the help of Democrats and Republicans, crushed the strike. So that strike didn't happen. And that was one of the things they were trying to prevent, was stuff like this. Because look, this isn't some isolated thing. This stuff happens. And when it does, they try to downplay it. And they don't take any accountability. Oh, and by the way, this company, this Suffolk company, what are they called again? Like Norfolk Southern. Norfolk Southern. They also apparently have a role in the Cop City in Atlanta. That's where they're going to destroy this forest to put in a cop training center that's bigger than any cop training center, I believe, in the country. It's bigger than the one we have here in LA. And it's to basically train the cops to be killing machines. This is like something out of a dystopian movie plot. And they shot that protester. We were covering that a lot over at Status Quo, who I do Thursdays with. So, yeah, nice little trail of bad guys. But here's what they're doing. Check this out. This is from More Perfect Union. Norfolk Southern, the rail giant whose train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, offered to cut the town a check for $25,000, folks. 25 grand. They just poisoned their air. They're killing their livestock, killing their fish. It's not safe to be in the town right now. People basically should be evacuating, even though they told them they don't have to. This, by the way, this increases the chance of cancer. This causes a lot of asthma problems for people who have asthma. It can cause respiratory problems. It can cause like watering of the eyes, running of the nose, et cetera, et cetera. But they offered them a check for $25,000. Now, 5,000 people live in this town, so that's just $5 a person. Oh, by the way, the company is worth $55 billion. Residents of East Palestine, Ohio, aren't even sure if their town is safe. They're extremely troubled by dead fish in a local stream and dead chickens found in a neighboring town. So chickens, foxes, fish, horses, dogs, you name it. Everybody's sick, and they're like, oh, no, it's safe to be there. Here's $25,000. You each have enough money to go get a Happy Meal. Go get something at McDonald's. You're fine. USA. And you're not really hearing the corporate media talk about this much, are you? Did any of the cable news networks really touch this? It's absolutely amazing. It is absolutely amazing that this kind of stuff gets completely neglected. This kind of stuff gets completely neglected. And we know why that is. It's because the media, their advertisers consist of fossil fuel companies. It consists of the robber barons in the train, because they're all connected. No pun intended. They're all connected. It consists of all kinds of corporate interests. So they're not going to report on anything that conflicts their agenda. They're not going to tell you the truth about what's really going on in the climate, because that conflicts the agenda of the fossil fuel companies and the weapons manufacturers, who, by the way, are in cooperation with the train companies. They don't want you to know about that stuff, so they don't talk about it. Why do you think all of these entities advertise on cable news? Do you think weapons manufacturers need to get the word out to consumers? Is the general person in the market for a new tank anytime soon? No, they advertise so they can get favorable coverage. That's why in other countries, advertising on news and information is illegal. It's not legal, because they know if it was, it would compromise the integrity of journalism. But here, well, we don't care about that. We don't care here. Just give it all to corporations. That's what we do here in the United States. So we'll keep monitoring this. I'll keep monitoring this here on Get Your News On with Ron. We'll keep monitoring it over on Status Quo, who I do Thursdays with. But let's go to a little bit of good news. Dare I say, I know you're thinking, Ron, really? Do you have some good news? Well, yeah, like I mentioned before, Gigi Sohn finally has a scheduled hearing. That hearing is scheduled for Valentine's Day, Tuesday, at 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I know that it's 7 a.m. my time. You know why? Because I'll make this announcement here too. Over on Status Coup, I will be live streaming her Senate hearing. So I will be live streaming over on Status Coup at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific Time. I'm going to set my alarm, folks. It's going to be like doing morning radio again, which I did have a morning show in Nashville, Tennessee for a little while. It didn't last long, but at one point I did have a morning show in Nashville, Tennessee. So it'll feel like that. Live streaming that early. I might have a lot of coffee with me, folks, but if you're around, please tune in to Status Coup on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so we can all check that out together. So, for those of you who don't know, which if you're a regular on this show, of course you already know this, Gigi Sohn is Biden's appointee to the FCC. The FCC is still in a 2-2 gridlock. She still has not been confirmed. It's been 2 years now. Usually FCC appointees get confirmed within a couple weeks. It's been 2 years for her. Why has it taken so long? Well, for three main reasons. One, Biden doesn't really care. Biden did not want to appoint a pro-net neutrality FCC. He conceded that he would do that in the Bernie Biden task force. That was one of the concessions they got out of Biden. You have to appoint a pro-net neutrality FCC. Biden said, okay, I'm not really big on net neutrality because I started my campaign with a bunch of Comcast executives. Also, over in the Senate has to, give her the hearing. Chuck Schumer has a million conflicts of interest with big tech. We've covered this extensively. His daughter works for Meta. His other daughter works for Amazon. He has a bunch of conflicts of interest in big tech. So he probably doesn't want a fully staffed FCC. Now, social media is not necessarily anti-net neutrality. They're usually the opposite. Usually the anti-net neutrality companies are the cable news networks and stuff like that. Why? Because a free and open internet threatens their business model. So even if they're on the internet, they still would rather have a situation where they pay to play. So, but still, he probably doesn't want a fully staffed FCC. So that's the second reason. The third reason is there's been a bunch of right-wing smear campaigns against Gigi Sohn. Again, because entities like Fox News are against net neutrality. So they're making a bunch of homophobic and transphobic arguments against her because Gigi Sohn is gay. They're trying to make all of these insulting points of reference. We covered that extensively on the show. I'm not going to go through it all again. To try to make it out like Gigi Sohn is this bad appointee, even though she has 30 years of experience in this space. She is beyond qualified. She is the most qualified appointee that's been appointed in a long time. So, but she finally got a hearing. Folks, it's been 2 years. She finally got a hearing. So this is a release from Fight for the Future I want to share with y'all. Check this out. Confirmed Gigi Sohn. 40 groups say a fully staffed FCC is essential for reproductive rights. Today, 40 reproductive rights, racial justice, privacy advocacy groups released a letter calling on the Senate to immediately confirm Gigi Sohn to the 5th seat on the FCC. In the letter, the groups say the FCC has a role to play in protecting reproductive rights, but they can't until Gigi's confirmed. The letter comes on the heels of right-wing outlets like Breitbart maliciously attacking Sohn's sexuality and spreading baseless accusations like Sohn opposing efforts to combat sexual trafficking. That's a completely ridiculous BS smear. We covered that extensively last week on the show. Because Gigi Sohn sits on the board of an organization that opposed Sesta Fosta, which Sesta Fosta was terrible policy that grossly infringed on data privacy, grossly infringed on free speech rights. It was sold to people under the guise of combating sex trafficking. But for anyone who actually read the bill and understands it, it actually makes combating sex trafficking harder, not easier. A bunch of digital rights organizations and human rights organizations were unanimous on that. So countless organizations opposed that policy. But supporters of that grossly misguided legislation still tried to make the case, oh, I guess it's because you're sympathetic to sex trafficking, which is an absolutely disgusting accusation to throw at people. It is completely baseless. And even giving it lip service is just offensive, honestly. But they tried to, pin that to Gigi Sohn, which is absolutely ridiculous. This release goes on to say these attacks draw on dangerous homophobic falsehood that portray LGBTQ plus people as predators and a threat to society. Fed up with Senate Democrats' inaction and silence, the organizations have released this letter to declare their support for Sohn. So Tuesday, this is it. Now, here's the deal. There are some holdouts for her. There are holdouts on the Democrat side and the Republican side. People are holding out when it comes to Gigi Sohn. But if everybody does what they promised, all of the officials, she does have the numbers to get through. And then Biden needs to keep his promise and sign off on it. He appointed her. We got to get this to the finish line, and you can help. Please, please, please. I'm begging you, if you haven't already, go to battleforthenet.com. That's battleforthenet.com, and rally your leaders. Tell them to confirm Gigi Sohn. This petition is to have them confirm her immediately. Please do this before Tuesday. Battleforthenet.com. Go before Tuesday and demand that your elected officials confirm Gigi Sohn. Please, please, please. Battleforthenet.com. All right. So our last story today, we're going to go over to the Senate. And we're going to go over, particularly to the Senate in California. Now, Dianne Feinstein is allegedly finally stepping down. She is, I think, 145 years old. And she is allegedly finally going to step down. Now, Dianne Feinstein, even by the standards of the Democratic Party, which keep in mind, the Democratic Party is a right-wing party. Anywhere else in the world, it would be considered the furthest right option with any type of power. In any other, even in England, any type of right-wing party with any sort of power is about aligned with the Democrats. The Tories are basically Democrats in England. That's how far right the Democratic Party is. Oh, by the way, the Tories are like a right-wing lunatic party. It's just, that's what the Democrats are. The fact that they are somehow considered an alternative to the right just shows how ridiculous the Overton window in this country is. But even by the standards of the Democratic Party, Dianne Feinstein is pretty right-wing. She is opposed to any type of environmental legislation. In fact, she yelled at a couple kids who wanted a Green New Deal. She started wagging her finger at a bunch of children who just want to have a livable planet for themselves when they're her age. She said, "Oh, I don't respond that way. I've been doing this for years. I know what I'm doing." Oh, you have? Look at how you've destroyed this place. Yeah, you've been legislating for 30 years and things have gotten worse for 30 years. We need to stop viewing that as a badge of honor, by the way. When people say stuff like, "Well, I've been doing this work for 30 years. I've been in this space for 30 years. Yeah, and shit's gotten worse. You've been a legislator for 30 years? That shouldn't be a badge of honor. That should be something to be condemned. Because guess what? Shit's gotten worse and worse for 30 years. We've been under decaying Reaganism for 30 years, or 40 years, 40 years and counting. So you've been part of that legacy? You're proud of that? That's a legacy of shit. An absolute legacy of shit. And I know there's some people that they tried. They did everything they could, like in political office. So this certainly doesn't apply to everyone. But people like Dianne Feinstein, "Oh, I've been doing this for 30 years. Yeah, you've been doing it wrong for 30 freaking years. And then she's wagging her finger at children who just want a livable planet. She was probably eyeing them up for stew or something. Unbelievable. So she is allegedly stepping down, but here's what's going to happen. California has gotten used to having a right-wing stronghold in that seat. And California likes to have that. California, because we are a Democratic supermajority here in California, which should show you how right-wing the Democrats really are. Because here in California, well, we're apparently like we're supposed to be the big progressive utopia. Right? We have like Democrats everywhere. That's pretty much the only party in play here in California. Yet we don't have healthcare here. We don't have, we living wages wise, we're better than a lot of other places, but we don't have, living wages as extensively as we should. We don't have anything like a housing first initiative. We don't have, we're better on some social issues than a lot of other places. We definitely have our bright spots, but we're not some progressive utopia by any stretch of the imagination, especially when it comes to climate, especially when it comes to police brutality, especially when it comes to just policies around the homeless. Like we're not some progressive utopia or anywhere close to it. And they like having villains like a Dianne Feinstein in government because sometimes they can just blame stuff on her. Meanwhile, it's like there's a larger conservative agenda, really. So, what are some of the things that might happen with this seat? Well, Adam Schiff is in the running for that seat. He has made it very clear he's going to run. He's going to try to take over for Dianne Feinstein. If he does, that will cement that seat being the same as it always has been for another generation. Because Adam Schiff is just a new version of Dianne Feinstein. He's just a younger, more hawkish even Dianne Feinstein. When I tweeted about this, some people said that they would argue that Adam Schiff is even to the right of Dianne Feinstein. I think that's true. Yeah, I would say overall he is to the right of Dianne Feinstein, which is pretty hard to do. But Adam Schiff is a CIA Democrat by his own admission. He's never met a war he hasn't liked. He's incredibly xenophobic when it comes to other places. He used the Russiagate hysteria to enhance his own celebrity. He fundraised off of it. Who knows what he did with that money, all while not doing diddly poo for his district. I mean, he's just missing an action in his district constantly. And instead, he's posing for the camera, trying to be some big resistance star because he knows that Trump's a jerk. And honestly, him and Trump are one and the same. They're both just egotistical maniacs who just want to play the media and just want to enhance their own brand and celebrity. They're total. I mean, that's why he hates Trump so much. Game recognizes game. So that guy's trying to get in the Senate. And here's something that he did that I want to share with you guys. Here, we're going to scroll down to the Adam Schiff portion of this article. So Schiff's progressive push. Representative Adam Schiff is seeking to join the Congressional Progressive Caucus as the Los Angeles Democrat ramps up his Senate campaign. Spock said the caucus is where his voting record has been and where his natural home is. Now, and also Schiff also said, I very much view myself as a progressive. By what standard? If Adam Schiff is a progressive, then Dick Cheney is a moderate. Seriously, I mean, that's how ridiculous that is. Now, the Congressional Progressive Caucus in the United States is an absolute joke. There's over 100 people in it. A lot of them don't even support Medicare for all, or they say they support it when it's politically convenient for them. So you're not progressive if you don't think we should have universal health care. If you're against universal health care, full stop. You're not progressive. Many of them are indifferent when it comes to matters of war and peace, or worse, they're hawkish when it comes to matters of war and peace. So the Congressional Progressive Caucus is a joke. Oh, and by the way, you're not progressive if you're in office in the United States and you take the party over people. You're not progressive. Full stop. I mean, I know that the word progressive has no meaning anymore, but by what it used to mean and by what it should mean, if you favor the party over people, then you're not a leftist. You're not progressive. That's just the way it goes. So the Congressional Progressive Caucus, in and of itself, is a complete and utter joke. I think the only requirement to join is that you have progressive car insurance. I think that's it. That's the standard there. So they'll probably let Adam Schiff in, although one of his opponents, his likely opponent, Katie Porter, point out that he had not joined the CPC, which includes both Porter and fellow Senate contender, past co-chair Barbara Lee. Many California progressives view Schiff as being to the right of Lee and Porter. He is, noting his past membership in the fiscally moderate Blue Dog Democrats and current membership in the centrist New Democrats. Now, the centrist New they're right wing again. In any other place, they would be considered far right. They're basically laissez-faire neoliberals. That's what they are. Katie Porter and Barbara Lee are to the left of that by a little bit. They're to the left of what's considered the, quote, centrist Democrats. And here's what I foresee being the problem. Now, we're going to go over to... This is actually just from Wikipedia, which I I seldom, if ever, use Wikipedia for anything because it's not a very good source material to use. But it's just a basic list here, and that's kind of all we need it for. So here's what's going on in that Senate race. Declared Katie Porter and Adam Schiff. Announcement pending, Barbara Lee. Publicly expressed interest, Dianne Feinstein. If she is to seek re-election, it's likely she's finally going to retire. And then the other publicly expressed interest, Ro Khanna. Now, here's what I'm concerned will happen. There will be a race. Now Ro Khanna has said that if there's other, more progressive members in the race, he will likely not join. He has said that would be a factor in his decision. So I have a feeling that if it is Barbara Lee, if she for sure jumps in, Ro Khanna will not. That's my guess. But nonetheless, you will have a situation where Katie Porter and Barbara Lee will split the vote of the more progressive voting sect in the Democratic Party, which is a large voting sect because, again, like people don't have a choice. Like you don't have we pretty much have one party rule in California. I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm registered with no party, but there's really nowhere for you to go. I mean, we don't have it, it's ridiculous, but they'll split the vote amidst whoever, and then Adam Schiff will get into the Senate. That's happened before here in California politics. We have split, at one point in the Senate, we had three grassroots lefties running, and then Kevin De Leon, and that was to start a challenge against Feinstein. Right? So they want to challenge Feinstein. So they had a bunch of lefties running and then Kevin De Leon. All the lefties split the vote. Kevin De Leon had corporate money behind him and he was able to get through because there's still a lot of establishment Democrats in California. And then you have Democrats who are a little more left of center who would definitely vote for a Barbara Lee or a Katie Porter over Adam Schiff. And then you have actual lefties who are trying to dem-enter. Again, we've had these conversations many times. I applaud people who are trying any strategy. I personally am an outsider. I believe in an outside third-party approach because I think we need to change the rules. And whether you favor dem entering or a third-party approach, we need to change the rules either way. So I'm more focused on changing those rules. And in the meantime, I just don't see how I would have I don't think it is a good use of my bandwidth to do anything with the Democratic Party. I think it is a better use of my bandwidth to try to help a third party. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that, at least not right now. I've thought about green entering. I'm kind of undecided. I usually vote either socialist or green. I mean, 99% of the time. Local elections are nonpartisan, so I'm pretty much either voting third party or I'm voting, in nonpartisan elections or for ballot measures. But I believe that my bandwidth is better spent doing things in my community, fighting for municipal broadband in my neighborhood, helping mutual aid efforts in San Pedro, doing things outside of electoral politics, being part of digital rights campaigns to try to win on policy issues. And I see all that as being way more fruitful than participating in electoralism at either the federal or state level. That's why I don't participate with the Democratic Party. I'm not shaming anyone who has a different strategic idea than me. I'm just letting you know where I stand. And y'all kind of knew that already. So, but what I see happening here, and that all the big money is going to be behind Adam Schiff. And again, he is just another Feinstein. We're solidifying, and he'll stay there for a generation. Adam Schiff has a ton of establishment money behind him. A ton. Now, the one good thing about this, the one kind of glimmer in a sea of shit, is that a congressional candidate may be a girl who has run against Adam Schiff twice. And all things considered, she did very well. I mean, she was up against a political behemoth. And she did very well, all things considered. She made the runoff. She got a respectable amount of the vote, and she was going up against the Goliath of Goliaths. Well, now there's a better chance that she has a shot at getting that congressional seat because Adam Schiff's going to be out of the way now. So she has a better chance of actually getting the seat. So that could be a positive. Um, but Adam Schiff will basically cement that as a Dianne Feinstein seat for another generation. And by Dianne Feinstein seat, I mean, a right winger, even by standards of the Democratic Party. So, so there's that. So that's what I'm worried about. Joanna, Ron, run for office. No, thank you. I appreciate your enthusiasm there, but no, thank you. I'm not meant to run for office. I mean, some people they're meant for that. And the people that are, do it by all means. If that's your lane, run for office. Run for office. And however you want to do it, I support you. I mean, if you want to run, I mean, I would like to see more people running within the Green Party. That's what I'd like to see. But sometimes here in California, if you're running for like a state assembly seat, you really have no choice but to run as a Democrat. That's why I supported Fatima Iqbal Zubair. I understood the situation she was in, that if she didn't run as a Democrat, she had absolutely no chance. I would like to basically change that. You know what I mean? Like, I want that to change. I want a situation where people can run with third parties and be viable for certain state seats. But until that's the case, I'll support leftists no matter what's next to their name. I don't care. If it's an I, I'll support them. If it's a G, I'll support them. If it's a D, I'll support them if I can. I'm not a registered Democrat myself, but I'll vote for you when I can. So yeah. But yeah, I'm not meant to run for office. I'm an outsider. That's where I belong. I'd be terrible in office, especially at the federal level. I'd be the freaking worst. Like, I'd be really bad. Let me get Desbush Fleisch. Desbush Fleisch, what's up, buddy? How are you? Hope all is well in Germany. Desbush Fleisch says, apparently European YouTube is nice enough to recommend Status Quo and Get Your News On with Ron live streams to me. That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys got the notification today. I couldn't help but notice that last week when we were talking about the YouTube strike, seemed like nobody got a notification. Seemed like nobody got a notification. Yeah. So interesting, huh? I guess we're not talking about an actual YouTube strike today. Guys, so stick around for everyone catching this live. The patron stream is happening right after this. That's a casual chat stream where we just kind of chat it up. We do a post game, if you will, and it goes out to everybody. But the replay is only available on Patreon and Rock from Premium. That's coming up right after this. And by the way, if you want to support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/Ron Placone. For a give what you can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content. You can get a theme song. I'll make you a theme song. You get to watch my pilot Loner in its entirety. It's not out to the public yet, but it's out for patrons. You get to watch my performance as Lucian the Satirist in its entirety. That historic interpretation will not be out to the public anytime soon, but you can get all of it now as a patron. And that's all for a give what you can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way. No matter what amount you give, everyone gives all the same stuff. The suggested amount's $5 because for Patreon, you have to have some suggested amounts. So I just put it as $5. But any amount you give, everyone gets all the same stuff. Please consider it. It helps keep this show on the air. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. And you get a lot of cool stuff for whatever level you're comfortable with. I always tell people, whatever you won't miss, give me that. If you're thinking, hey, $1 a month, I won't miss that. I can give up $1 a month. That's great. If you won't miss $2 a month, fantastic. Whatever it is, patreon.com/Ron Placone. I'm interested in building a community around digital rights, around climate issues, around labor issues, around communities and the things that we talk about on this show. On this show, I talk about the stuff that the corporate media ignores that is important and plays a role in our daily lives. Digital rights play a role in your daily lives because we're all on the freaking internet. Labor rights play a role in your daily life because we're all workers in this country. The climate, obviously, plays a role in your daily life. So patreon.com/Romplacone. Patreon.com/Romplacone. And thank you for that super chat contribution, Despos Fleisch. And finally, tour dates. I got them. First of all, shout out to everyone who came out to the show on Friday. That was an awesome kickoff to a 3-show residency at the Glendale Room here in Los Angeles. Thank you guys so much for being there. I had a freaking blast. Hope you did too. The next show is April 14th. And the third show is May 12th. You can get tickets right now at romplacone.com. June, I'll be hitting the Midwest. Here's my June date so far. June 16th, Madison, Wisconsin. June 17th, Minneapolis, Minnesota. June 29th, Chicago, Illinois. Get your tickets now, because if you use the promo code Lucy at checkout, you get discounted tickets. But that's for a limited time only. That's not forever. So get your tickets now. Use the promo code Lucy at checkout for the early bird special. Those give you discounted tickets. Oh, and by the way, this is a disclaimer about all my shows. If you are currently on strike or you are currently part of a union movement in your workplace, you get to go to my show for free. Just email me, give me the details, and we'll make it happen. So if I'm coming to your town and you're currently on strike, you're currently part of a union effort or anything similar, like if you're up to something in that space, let me know, and you can come to my show for free. So yeah, romplacone.com for all tickets. Thank you, Despos Fleisch, for the super chat contribution. And hang out, guys. Everyone catching this live, hang out, because I'll be right back for the patron stream. And everyone else, in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy, she says meow, and I say peace, love, and a general strike.